Before time was measured, before the universe expanded into stars and space, there existed a perfect order. Heaven was not silent, it was structured. Authority flowed without resistance. Worship rose without interruption. There was no rebellion, no division, and no darkness competing with light. Every being knew its place, every voice knew its purpose, and every movement followed a divine design. And yet, within that perfection, a fracture would one day appear. That fracture would not begin with humans. It would begin in heaven itself. And this is where the question emerges, quiet but unsettling. Where was Jesus when Lucifer rebelled? Many imagine Jesus only as the man who walked the dusty roads of Galilee, a carpenter bound to 33 years of human life. But such a view barely scratches the surface of who he truly is. To locate Jesus during the cosmic rebellion, we must step outside human timelines and into eternity itself. Long before the manger, long before Bethlehem, the Son existed, not as an idea, not as a future plan, but as a living, conscious presence within the divine order of heaven. Lucifer did not rise against an empty throne. He did not challenge a distant god while the Son waited to be born. The rebellion was aimed at authority itself, and that authority was inseparable from the Word. The tension in heaven was not merely between an angel and the Father, but between a created being intoxicated with self-glory and the uncreated Son through whom all order flowed. This is where the mystery deepens. Scripture rarely describes a dramatic confrontation between Jesus and Lucifer in heaven, and yet the absence of detail does not signal absence of presence. Instead, it points to something far more profound. Christ was there, not reacting, not scrambling, not threatened, but established. And to understand why his role seems hidden, we must first understand who he was before the first war ever began. In the beginning, according to the ancient record, the Word already was. This statement is not poetic symbolism. It is a declaration of eternal existence. Before angels were formed, before thrones and dominions were assigned, the Son stood within the divine reality as the expression of God's authority. Creation did not bring him into existence. Creation flowed out of him. Every structure in heaven, every hierarchy among angels, every measure of power originated through the Word. Lucifer's brilliance, beauty, and wisdom were not self-generated achievements. They were entrusted gifts. And those gifts came from the same source Lucifer would later oppose. This is the great irony of the rebellion. Lucifer's desire to ascend was fueled by power he never owned. The Son was not watching creation unfold from a distance. He was actively sustaining it. Heaven functioned because the Word upheld it. So when pride began to form within Lucifer, it was not merely rebellion against God's command. It was rejection of the order the Son embodied. Christ was not hidden in the background of heaven's early history. He was the foundation upon which that history stood. To rebel against heaven's structure was to rebel against him. Rebellion in heaven did not erupt suddenly like chaos. It developed quietly like corruption. Scripture hints that iniquity was found in Lucifer, suggesting a process rather than an instant act. As pride matured, allegiance shifted. Authority was questioned. Worship became self-directed. And when Lucifer finally moved against heaven's order, he was not challenging a fragile system. He was challenging permanence. Where was Jesus at that moment? He was not mobilizing defenses or convening councils. Authority does not panic. Christ's position did not need to be defended because it could not be overturned. The rebellion exposed Lucifer's misunderstanding of power. Power does not belong to those who desire it most. It belongs to those who are its source. When war broke out in heaven, it was not because God's throne was threatened. It was because rebellion must be removed to preserve order. Jesus later revealed something extraordinary when he said, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." This statement reveals awareness, presence, and judgment. He did not hear about the fall. He witnessed it. Lucifer fell not because Christ fought him physically, but because rebellion cannot coexist with eternal authority. The fall was swift because the rebellion was already defeated the moment it was conceived. One of the greatest misconceptions about the heavenly rebellion is the expectation of dramatic confrontation. Humanity imagines power in visible force, but divine authority operates differently. Christ did not wrestle Lucifer for dominance because dominance was never in question. His authority was intrinsic, not contested. The absence of recorded dialogue between Jesus and Lucifer in heaven does not indicate silence. It indicates finality. When truth stands in its fullness, deception collapses without debate. Lucifer's accusations did not require rebuttal. His ambition did not require negotiation. Heaven responded not with chaos, but with order restoring itself. This explains why Scripture presents the rebellion with restraint. The focus is not on the drama of the fallen angel, but on the stability of the throne. Christ's role was not reactive. He was the constant against which rebellion was measured and found wanting. Lucifer did not lose a battle. He lost his place. And place in heaven is determined by alignment with the Word. When alignment ended, access ended. Christ did not need to speak loudly in heaven because his authority was already absolute. When Lucifer and the angels who followed him were cast out, they did not escape Christ's authority. They exited his presence, not his jurisdiction. This is why, thousands of years later, demons recognized Jesus instantly when he walked the earth. They did not ask who he was. They knew. This recognition proves something essential. Christ's authority did not begin in Bethlehem. It was ancient, established, and feared long before humanity existed. The fallen angels remembered him not as a man, but as the eternal Word they once served under. Their rebellion changed their location, not their knowledge. They understood who he was, and they understood they were already defeated. The war in heaven settled the question of authority forever. Earth would become the stage where rebellion played out, but the outcome was never uncertain. Jesus did not come to earth to gain authority. He came to reveal it. Lucifer's focus shifted to humanity because humanity represented something angels never possessed, creation in God's image, and more importantly, the Son would one day enter humanity himself. The incarnation was not an emergency response. It was a planned revelation. Lucifer's hatred of humanity is inseparable from his hatred of Christ. Every deception in Eden, every lie spoken through history traces back to a rebellion that already failed. Earth became the battlefield not because heaven was undecided, but because rebellion refused to surrender. Jesus' presence on earth was the continuation of a conflict already settled in heaven. The cross was not a gamble, it was a demonstration. So where was Jesus when Lucifer rebelled? He was not absent. He was not passive. He was not becoming. He was already established. He was the Word through whom heaven functioned, the authority Lucifer rejected, and the foundation rebellion could not shake. The silence surrounding his direct action is not a missing chapter. It is a statement. Christ did not need to prove his power because rebellion never threatened it. The fall of Lucifer was not the rise of darkness. It was the exposure of its limits. And the same Jesus who witnessed that fall now stands at the center of history, awaiting the final restoration of all things. The rebellion began in heaven, continued on earth, and will end under his authority. He was there at the beginning, he was there during the fall, and he will be there at the end.